Peace and love, everyone, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new, please like and subscribe. And I am so excited to be with you all today. Peace and love, everyone. And I hope everyone is surrounded by love, peace, and happiness on this wonderful Thursday in April. And it is still the Ramadan season for some people. And we're after the holiday of Easter. So spring has definitely sprung where I am here in the DMV. The weather is gorgeous, it's warm and sunny, pleasant outside, and it's just a great day to be out and enjoying the essence of springtime. So wherever you are, I hope you're feeling wonderful today. And tonight's lecture or show is we had a guest, but we were having some technical difficulties. So thank you all for your patience and for waiting. And so my guest was not able to log on this evening, so I'm going to be doing it solo, but he's here in spiritual essence. So tonight's discussion is seek the resurrection while you live, because spring is a time of rebirth and renewal and resurrection, if you will. And we know resurrection is spiritual and mental as well as physical. So in the springtime, you observe so much change and the rebirth and the transformation that takes place in the natural world. For example, the trees whose leaves were not growing in the fall and winter. They all winter long, the leaves, the trees were bare, and the trees conserve their energy in the root system. So it appears that they're sleeping or not alive. And then in the springtime, they quote unquote come alive as they produce leaf buds and produce flowers, and the cycle of rebirth begins as the tree begins to grow leaves and produce flowers, eventually fruit, which will be ready for harvest in the summer or the fall. And all of this is taking place now. We're seeing a lot of insects, especially butterflies, bumblebees, the little carpenter bees, all kinds of insects are outside now and very active and present. The birds are very active and very busy this time of year because they're going through this cycle of change and new birth or rebirth in the spring. So spring represents a time of growing and renewal and resurrection. The resurrection that we're talking about is to experience resurrection while you live. We know that in our spiritual sciences, regardless of what spiritual path you're on or you follow or subscribe to, they all talk about resurrection in some form. And there's many stories throughout many different spiritual practices and religious practices about a savior who died and was reborn either in the physical or the spiritual. And that's what we're going to be talking about, how to experience resurrection while you live, that you don't have to die a physical death to be resurrected in spirit. You can be resurrected in spirit while you're alive, while you're in your physical vessel, and experience that tremendous change and transformation of the mind and the spirit while you're in the physical. So that's what tonight's topic is going to be about. Now, many of us know the story of Jesus Christ. We know the story of especially his death on the cross and how he died and then was reborn later. And it's similar to some other stories. For example, the story of Asar, how he was killed and dismembered by his brother Set, and then he was or Set helped him to regenerate and to resurrect himself. And pass on the wisdom, I believe, to Heru, how the story goes, and how there's several other religions and spiritual philosophies. I'm not going to go into all of them right now, but they all talk about a savior or a Christ-like figure or an avatar figure who dies and becomes resurrected, and is either a physical death or spiritual, depending on how you interpret the story, or how what type of esoteric wisdom is being taught in the story, or how, what your teaching practice is. So the story of a Christ or a savior that died and was reborn, resurrected into their higher self or the divine self. So this is an example. All these figures that resurrected, that's an example for us to follow. And there's great wisdom in these teachings if you look at it from a standpoint of learning and observing and applying those principles to your everyday life. You can enjoy resurrection while you live. Be transformed by the renewing of your mind, and it's the renewing of your God mind, or your higher mind, your higher self. Once you transform your thinking and how you transform your thinking and transform your heart, then your whole life will transform. So the resurrection is the death and the birth. So the death of the lower self, or the death of the old self, or the death of that which no longer serves you for your highest good. And then you are reborn or renewed into a higher state of consciousness, a higher, more developed being, a more spiritual being. So you're really resurrecting, and the prefix in the word re, again, you're resurrecting, or you're lifting up again the God that is within you, or your divine self, that you may have may have been asleep or may have been neglected. So the resurrection is the honoring and the awakening of your divine self or your higher self. In the practice of yoga, you all know I'm a yoga teacher as well. In the practice of yoga comes from an ancient word which means union. So it's union of mind, body, and spirit. So in your yoga practices, you are uniting mind, body, spirit, as above, so below. You're uniting all aspects of yourself. That too, in a sense, is a form of a resurrection, because as you unite all of your aspects of yourself, your divine self, your physical self, and you bring them all together in harmony, you are resurrecting the divine qualities within you. You are resurrecting your divine self or your holy self. All of us have this in us. It's a matter of whether you want to express that aspect of yourself or not. So that, to me, is the goal of religions and spiritual practices. It should be to resurrect or awaken, or to bring to life that divine aspect of yourself. We are all divine beings. We're all expressions of the one divine being, and we all have that capability, and to bring forth that spark of life, or that spark or that essence of the divine within us, and awaken it and resurrect it and connect to it. Every day we see the Satan in people, or the evil or the devil in people, which is very, very apparent. And it seems like it's just so easy to detect in people, and most people have no problem connecting to that part of themselves. I mean, we see the evidence of it every day, so much so that most people are getting tired of it. But the lower self is free to roam, and seems to be celebrated, if you will, and fed, so it's so many negative vices out here. We don't need to talk about them, but you know what they are, that are feeding out the lower cells or the lower part of us or the devil within us. And we see the devil in person in people every day. But you also have divine essence within you as a spark of the divine. And it's up to us to cultivate and nourish that aspect of us and express it, and to allow the God within to show up in our lives or connect with it. This is the goal of our spiritual practices, the prayers, the meditations, reading scriptures, and study them. Don't just read them, but study them and apply them to your lives. The chanting, zikr, the other spiritual practices, altar work, spiritual baths, whatever it is that you do in your path, that resonates in your soul. That is part of the reason why you do that, is to awaken and to resurrect that divine consciousness in you. For all of us, the figure of the Christ, and other saviors, is for all of us to follow. They set an example, and Jesus the Christ really did set a great example of humanity. If you read the scriptures and really study what he did, what he said, what he did in his life, he was a way shower. He was someone that was a supreme example. He showed us what we're capable of. And there's other spiritual and beings and holy people who come in human form, who also show us that great supreme example of who we are, who we truly are, and what we're totally capable of being and becoming. Is many spiritual teachers, and avatars and way showers, and they show us that each of us has this capability within us. It's just up to us whether we want to tap into it and connect to it and nourish it and cultivate it. Much like a plant, the thoughts that you put into the plant, the way you treat the plant, when you it starts with the seed. How you plant the seed, what type of soil you plant that seed in, how often you give it sunlight and water, determines what type of plant it's going to be. Well, the spark of the divine within us is like a seed. It's a seed atom that's within us, and we have to nourish it, give it some light, spiritual light, give it water, which is divine knowledge, and give it lots of love and nurturing, and help it to grow and to blossom and bloom and shine within us. That's a song that I used to hear. We used to sing when I was a child, called "This Little Light of Mine, I'm Gonna Let It Shine." Well, that little light of yours is that light of the essence of the divine within you. Is your own energy signature, is your light, and it's up to you to let it shine, and to let it shine bright by cleansing it and washing away and discarding the negativity that will dim your light. The negativity, the trauma from your past, the sins of the past, things that you did out of ignorance or carelessness, that may have helped you get to a certain place in your life, but they're no longer useful to you. And as a snake sheds its skin and releases and lets go of the past, you also have to release and let go of things that are no longer for your highest good, and no longer for the resurrection of your own soul. So just let those things go. And as you let them go, you wipe clean your slate, or wipe clean your spirit, and you become this shining example, and your light shines, and you become like a shining light, a light of the divine, a light of like a savior for yourself. So you can be that for your own self. Instead of looking for saviors outside of yourself, look for the savior within you by awakening and resurrecting that divine spark and that divine light that's within you. You can resurrect your God-like qualities within yourself through your spiritual practices. And the spiritual practices are so much more than that. And a lot of us don't give it enough credit. But just like an athlete will train for a big event, people who go to the Olympics, they train daily for probably every day of the week, I would imagine, but they train daily. They get prepared for years in advance for that big event so that they're razor sharp with their focus and with their skill. And that's what you need to do, and each and every one of us needs to do when it comes to our spiritual practice. Our spiritual practices need to be a daily practice. This is something that we all have to do daily. Just like you know, make sure the outside is clean, you also have to work on your mind and your heart and your soul. And you have to do your spiritual practices on a daily basis so that it becomes a force of habit. That, if you go a whole day without praying, you'll notice that and you'll feel the difference. Or if you forget to meditate, or if you're too stressed to meditate, they say if you're really too stressed to meditate, or too anxious, then you need to meditate longer. So whatever your spiritual practices are that help nourish you and nourish your soul growth, that is what you need to do. And it needs to become a discipline and a focus that is done daily, and to the point where it's a habit and it becomes a part of you. We can shape shift our lives for the better. If you're in a place in your life where you feel stagnant or stuck, or you don't like the way things were, or you're doing a reset and you're starting over, which is a great way to start. You have the power within you to shapeshift and be a conscious creator of the new life that you are creating from that reset. Or if you are just doing things differently, or healing, or whatever it is, you do have that power to do that. And you can shape shift your life into a new reality that makes you feel nourished and makes you feel uplifted as you reclaim your sacred divine self. And we all have this ability, and we can all make this manifest within ourselves. So it's through our spiritual practices that we can uplift ourselves and uplift the God within us and our own divine light, as I said earlier. Remember studying the great master teachers, or Christ, or saviors, or avatars. Many of them have come into the earthly plane to set an example and to share divine guidance with all of us. So if you find one that resonates with you, or that you feel is a supreme master teacher that you want to learn more from, or you enjoy what you're learning from them, you can study them, listen to what they teach, and focus on not so much their personality as you do what they teach. Focus more on what they teach, because what they're teaching you is how to do that for yourself, how to resurrect the God within you, how to purify your soul, how to purify your mind and your heart, how to become your fully self-realized multidimensional self. That is what they're teaching, or should be teaching. And so that is what you should be focusing more so on, and less on the personality of that individual, because that individual is showing you what is possible in the realm of possibilities when it comes to resurrection while you live. And you will have your own journey. Your journey may not look exactly like theirs. That's why I said don't focus on their personality, but focus more on their teachings and their guidance, because it's going to help you through your journey. Each and every one of us has our own unique journey back to source, back to the divine, back to our higher selves, and how we do that is going to look different with everybody. So focus more on those master teachers' teachings and their guidance, and less on the personality of those persons. And don't get caught up in personality, but more on the teachings. And remember, you have your own divine self that you're cultivating and working on, and is striving to be your very best version of that self. So I hope this message was helpful to you all. Please comment down below. Let me know what you think, or share your own experiences with resurrecting the divine within you, or transforming your life, or rebirth, or reset. What steps you are taking to help heal your own soul. Love to hear from you and get the positive feedback. I will see you all next week. And also don't forget to don't forget our show on Monday nights. King and Ade and I are back on the air at Plugged In Radio for the Healing Cipher Show, which is Monday night, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can watch us at pluggedinradio.com or on the Roku network on the Plugged In Radio channel. And we look forward to seeing you all. And we work every week to bring you all the best possible content. Peace and love, family, and enjoy this wonderful spring day and season.